We're back. Multi-purpose, the charity stripe, Believe Daily, April 6th, and 1090.
The mightier 1090.
The mightier 1090. Nicky, Snax, Kreider, Alex Tassopoulos, but no Josh Fisher. It's okay. We got you. We got you covered here.
Happy Passover, Nick.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Happy Masters.
Yes.
Today's day one of the Masters.
Yes, it is.
So yesterday I gave my teams for our Masters pool that we're both in. My first team, I'll remind everyone, Victor Hovland, Keegan Bradley, Tom Kim, Harris English, Dustin Johnson in Team 1. Team 2, Roy McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, Colin Morikawa, Keith Mitchell, Patrick Reed. Just a refresher for everybody, you got to pick one guy in the top 10, two guys in 11 through 30, one guy from 30 to 51, and one guy from 51 on, basically, top 100. Who is your team, Tass? Because you said that you were a day of guy. You made a last minute pool, I guess, pool entry. Who's your team?
Let me pull up my squad real quick.
By
My squad.
the way, I mean, I was bullish on Victor Hovland.
He's playing really, really well.
He's playing very well.
And obviously, you know, you're listening to this on the mightier 1090. You know how everyone has fared through the first day. Couple of late scratches. One guy because of illness, Kevin Na.
Yep.
And then Will Zalatoris, who's a top 10 world golf ranking player. And he opted out day of because of an injury. So that certainly will shake things up in our little Masters pool.
Yep.
I'll just mention one. Yeah.
Yes and no. I think it hurts not to have a top 10 guy. Like if you picked Will Zalatoris and you didn't get a chance to change your pick, it hurts to not have a top 10 guy who makes it to the top and, you know, goes 8 under or whatever. However, it's just 0.
But don't
so
you?
It's better than
is
getting,
it? Yeah. I thought you don't have to have every golfer make the cut to be in consideration for the like grand prize.
No. You just ride the final score of each guy.
Got it.
So it's a 0.
Okay, that's not terrible. Yeah, I'll mention this. I have a couple of teams, but this is the one that I like a lot. I've got Jon Rahm, who he double bogeyed one, but he's Jon Rahm. He's one of the best golfers in the world, and he's already playing really, really good golf, recovering from that.
Yep.
Tony Finau, Shane Lowry, the Irishman.
Doing well as well.
Yep. Jason Day, who I know a lot of people have picked to have a good tournament. And then Brooks Koepka.
Okay.
Who...
Live.
He's a live guy, so he's dropped in the rankings. But you know he's played this course really, really well before. And if this were 5 years ago, Brooks Koepka might have been named as the best golfer in the world.
Yeah, it's funny because if this were 5 years ago, if this were 3 years ago, all the guys that I'm seeing people pick in the top from 50 to 100
with their fifth slot, right?
Fifth slot,
they're quote unquote worst golfer
are all guys that would have been their first slot 5 years ago, 3 years ago, because it's Dustin Johnson, Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka. You know, these guys are all live golfers, so they don't get any love in the world golf rankings. But you know, these guys, 2 of the guys I mentioned won the Masters.
Right.
Dustin Johnson, Patrick Reed. So.
It's really shaken up, like at least the format of this pool that we participate in, which, you know, I'm sure everybody out there has their own version of it.
Some semblance.
Maybe you're just making a bet at betonline.ag using the promo code BELIEVE and getting 50% off on your first welcome bonus.
Maybe
and you picked, you know, who you thought was going to win. You thought
I did.
Is that what you did?
Yep, I
love
put that bet in like 3
I like
months
that.
3 months ago.
Double downing. You know, when you feel good about a guy, you feel really good.
I want to check my odds on that, but keep going.
Yeah. So I hope everybody is watching the Masters. If you're working right now, I hope you get a chance to watch some of the highlights later.
Pull up a double screen.
Yeah, pull up the double screen. That's why we have double screens, right? It's not to be hyper efficient. It's to watch the Masters on one.
Yeah,
and
or March Madness.
And to be on Excel on the other.
You have your setup already set up for March Madness. I know the people at work have their double screen used for March Madness games. Do the same thing for the Masters. It's fine.
Yep. So just one of the best times of the year, of course. Okay,
so I have Victor Hovland winning it all at plus 2,300 odds. $30 to win 690.
Well, good luck to you, Nick. Good luck to Victor Hovland. He is an interesting looking guy. I feel like what he's wearing on the course today is very bright, very colorful. Yes, very, very young face. How old is he?
I think he's sub 30, right?
Like late 20s, maybe. He's also from Oslo, Norway. He's only 25 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Young cat.
Technically not even a millennial. He's a
Gen X? Gen Z?
He's a Gen Z because he was born in 97. That's wild.
Went to Oklahoma State. He's a Cowboy.
Is he?
Yep.
Well, I don't want him to win then anymore. No, I'm just
Ricky
kidding.
Fowler.
I want him to win because of you, but not a Oklahoma State Cowboys fan.
You don't want him to win. You want John Ron to win.
No, it's not who I want to win. I just think...
for your...
Sure, but I just think... No, as long as John Rahm plays well, Victor Hovland can still win.
Yeah, but you'd prefer to have the winner in your pool. It's an extra point or two.
I think where you really win, though, is
the other guys. Yeah.
The other guys.
But you still need to have the top...
Your top 10 guy better have a top 10 finish.
Exactly. 100%.
So
it's like Josh is saying in fantasy football, you can't win in the first round...
But you can
lose in the first round. So if you pick a guy in your top 10 who's not making cut or who's not having a top 10 finish, then you're in trouble.
So speaking of fantasy football, not fantasy related, but with the NFL, I have to ask you, and I wish Josh were here to give his thoughts on this.
Yep.
But what about these Mac Jones being shopped reports? What do you think about that?
I mean, look, Pats fans can tell you all they want that they like Mac Jones, that they're faithful in him, that they think that he's the guy for the future. I have never been that impressed, ever. There's nothing that I've seen out of him that is maybe like, oh, that guy is going to bring the Patriots back.
Yeah, I think year one, people were comparing him, right, to Trevor Lawrence, to Trey Lance, who was not starting for the 49ers, to Justin Fields, who had a really, really rough time, and to Zach Wilson. And he looked, out of the five of those guys, to be the best game manager, to make the best decisions, to be the most, I would say, maybe coachable. But of course, you had the Jags with Urban Meyer, and that was an absolute train wreck.
Also has the best history of winning, too, being from Alabama. For me, it's like, look, in that draft...
But there was no progress to year two. In fact, there was a slight regression.
Yeah, he regressed. I think when you look at him, and this is no, everyone knows this. He's probably the least athletic out of all those quarterbacks in that draft class.
He might be the least athletic starting QB in the NFL.
Could be, and the arm talent isn't anything that special. At the peak, I think he can be like an Alex Smith. And that's even saying something. He was athletic. He can run.
He could move, yeah.
At the peak, maybe a guy like Matt Schaub or Kirk Cousins. Those aren't guys that, Kirk Cousins is definitely moving his way up a little bit. He's like mid-tier. He teeters.
Definitely between 10 and 15 best QBs in the NFL.
Sure. But I think that's the peak. And that's, if you're a Patriots fan, and you're used to excellence, you're used to Tom Brady, you're used to winning a ton of Super Bowls, I don't think that's your guy.
Yeah.
Now, the shopping... It doesn't surprise me because they've been named as a team in the mix for Lamar Jackson. So if that's a realistic possibility, then of course they got to shop him. Go out and get whatever you can from Mac Jones. One of these teams that is desperate for a quarterback. If they don't get their guy, there's a lot of teams that still need a quarterback out there. I'm interested to see when that happens, if it happens.
I think some people are coming out and saying that it's just rumors, right? Like Gronk yesterday, which obviously he's not in the locker room anymore, but I imagine, he calls guys all the time.
Yeah, he has his pulse.
But sources today are saying that, it might just be a far-fetched rumor. But it's just interesting with the timing of all the Lamar Jackson stuff this is being floated out there. But I just wanted to, I thought it was mostly interesting when we were talking with Josh, and I felt like earlier when we didn't have a pulse on the fact that Lamar had floated out that he wanted to be traded at the beginning of March. And Josh was like, no, Mac Jones is our quarterback.
Yeah.
If you remember, I kind of called him on that later on because I was like, what are you talking about? Like, push comes to shove, you're going to take Lamar Jackson 100%. 10 out of 10 times.
He came around.
He did come around.
But he had to make it like his own thought.
Yeah. Well, that's how we all are.
More power to him. I want to quickly go back to the Masters because we talked about the menu for the dinner that Scotty Scheffler picked for the Masters winners because they have the big dinner before the tournament starts.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. A lot of home cooking, a lot of, American food.
Yep.
There was like...
You were a big fan of the fried butterfly shrimp that he had on there?
That sounded really good.
With some Thai chili sauce?
Yeah.
Me too.
But you put out today, I believe, your menu of fast food items. And I would love for you to share that with our audience, because I gave mine yesterday. It was a mix of Benihana for the most part, and surf and turf from.
You did it off the cuff. It was very impressive. Yeah. You picked things that you would like from more so like fine dining establishments.
Yeah, of course.
And so I wanted to
kind of like last meal type things.
Right. Yes, exactly. Like last meal on earth. Like what do you pick sort of thing. I wanted to go with a different route, make it a challenge for myself. And I went with fast food only.
Okay.
And so I kind of modeled.
Clog your arteries.
Exactly. Yeah. Where are the Tums? Where's the Pepto? You definitely are going to need it. I don't look at your cholesterol the next day. Don't try and play a round of 18 the day after, because you're gonna suck. You're not gonna be able to move around the course. That's for sure.
What are your apps?
So the apps were Sonic mozzarella sticks.
Okay, I'm with you on those.
Some of the best mozzarella sticks, like just in general.
They're fire. However, you gotta be eating them as soon as they come out.
Piping hot. They gotta be piping hot. Yeah,
because like mozzarella sticks have a tendency to kind of get
stiff. Once they cool down a little bit, they lose that stringiness.
Yep. But I'm with you.
Okay. I think they've got
the best thing on their menu, honestly.
Could be. They've got a really good crunch. Like breading is crucial in a mozz stick. And I like ones that are really crispy and crunchy, as opposed to sometimes like you'll go to kind of like a sports bar and they'll almost be like lightly breaded and almost like soggy. And I'm just, I'm not into that.
It's kind of like a corn dog breading almost sometimes.
Yeah. Like more cakey.
Honestly, a lot of people in California probably don't know Sonic that well, because there's not that many Sonics in California.
Well, there is one on the route between San Diego and LA. So next time you're driving up north, make a pit stop. They also have incredible drinks there, but that is besides the point. Now, I wanted to say on the graphic that was released on my Twitter, it said with your preference of sauce. My preference with Sonic's mozz sticks is marinara. Yeah. Okay. Some people are ranch with.
I'd say nothing. I would just eat it.
Really?
As yeah.
Wow. I'm a big sauce guy though. And then I had, this one's a bit of a throwback, but I had the KFC Buffalo Chicken Snacker. For a while, KFC had chicken snackers, which are like basically like their own version of sliders that they came out with. I think there was like, when we were growing up, like in high school, they had 3 different versions of it. One was like a classic with ranch on it. One was with the buffalo chicken, which that's the one that I picked. Right. And then another one I think was almost like a barbecue brisket, but you can't pick that from KFC. You got to stick with the chicken. So the buffalo chicken snacker. And then because Scotty had a soup on his menu, it was the same thing that you did. I put one as well. I picked Potbelly's chicken pot pie soup.
I've never been to Potbelly, so I can't.
Really? You've never been?
This. No.
Ooh, Potbelly is it's a top tier sandwich spot.
Sweet.
But when you look at soups across the board at fast food places, it's pretty tough.
It's pretty mid.
Yeah. Other ones in contention,
like Loco has like a good,
they have a good chicken tortilla. Soup. Chick-fil-A's chicken tortilla is pretty good, and their chicken noodles fine.
Yeah.
I guess like Wendy's like chili could be considered, but didn't they find like a finger in the chili at some point?
Okay, yeah, but this was like a lawsuit that a long time ago that some lady tried to like pull off, where I think she ended up cutting off like her husband's finger or something and putting it in the chili. I think that's what happened.
That's wild. She tried to pull that off.
Yeah.
What a like. Did he know? Like, did he lose his finger a long time ago? And
I don't know.
Was it on ice? Time. Like where? Okay, moving on from the soup. The main. He gave 2 options. He had his sirloin, right, or something like a Texas steak, and then there was also a salmon option, I think. So I wanted to give like an and or kind of situation. Sure. So I picked the Shake Shack Smoke Shack burger.
Okay.
Which comes with little hot cherry peppers on it. You could give some pushback that Shake Shack's not a fast food restaurant.
It's like a upscale burger place, but I still consider it fast food. You order at the counter.
Yeah, I think so too. And then I threw in maybe another thing that a lot of California people don't necessarily know: the Whataburger honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich.
There are no Whataburgers in California.
I think the closest you'll find one is in Arizona.
Yeah.
You're looking at 3 tenders between Texas toast, white American cheese melted on top, their own like hickory version of barbecue sauce. And I just think it's fantastic. It's what I get at Whataburger every single time.
The honey butter gets you. Oh no, sorry. There's no honey butter in this one. Honey
You
barbecue.
can get it with honey butter, which some people do, but because this is a main, I'm going to do it with honey barbecue.
Got it.
I will say the clarification point here. There has to be the proper amount of barbecue sauce on it. It can't be over sauced,
Can't be drenched.
where it's leaking out of the side of out of the sandwich. But it's one of my favorites. And with the mains, picked 3 sides: Popeye's mashed potatoes with Cajun gravy.
Oh,
I know you're a big mashed potatoes guy.
I love.
Have you had Popeyes before?
I've had Popeyes, but I don't know if I've ever had their mashed potatoes.
It's incredible. Really, really good. And if it came with a little Popeyes biscuit on the side too, that would be prime. Chicken Express corn nuggets, which is another Texas fast food staple.
You didn't really double up on establishments here.
I tried with heavy variety. I wanted to get a lot of representation. I didn't want to just say like, oh, I like McDonald's fries, I like Wendy's fries, and I like Popeyes mashed potatoes. Those are 3 potatoes.
Sure.
I don't need 3 potatoes as my side.
Sure.
I just wanted to pick one. And then Raising Cane's coleslaw.
Great choice.
I know you're a big fan of that one.
Some of the best coleslaw.
I think I'd
So
probably,
fresh.
of all of my menu items, that's probably the one I'd get the most pushback on. Because I think a lot of people, when they go to Raising
They
Cane's,
say
they
no
actually,
coleslaw. They do extra fries or extra toast.
exactly, or an extra sauce. You can sub any one of
I
those
love
3.
the coleslaw.
Me too. I think it adds a nice little compliment. And then finishing my meal off with the dessert, a Dairy Queen Oreo Blizzard. Part of the reason why I threw the Oreo Blizzard in there is because, look, the guys have eaten all this food, heavy cows. They're probably feeling really bogged down. And I want guys to get up and flip that Blizzard, get some action in there, get active, have a little fun with the dessert. And so that's why I picked the Oreo Blizzard.
I love this. I think this is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and really make one critique.
Yeah, please.
Because I love Raising Cane's. I would take that Whataburger honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich.
And throw Cane's chicken strips in there?
Yeah, the Cane's chicken strips.
Respect.
I think the Cane's chicken strips are unbeatable. I
Okay.
don't think anyone comes close to how good their chicken strips are.
Because I did pick a mashed potato, if you were to throw a fry in there instead, which
McDonald's.
McDonald's, right?
McDonald's fries are unbeatable.
Yeah, they're pretty fantastic.
I would say a close second is Chick-fil-A. I love.
You like the waffle fries?
I think they're some of the most fresh fries.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Burger King, like Carl's Jr.
In-N-Out, no thank you.
In-N-Out's got the worst fries.
A lot of people like Five Guys fries. They're Cajun fries. I do not whatsoever.
Oh, you know who's got great fries? Wingstop.
Very good fries and great ranch. I think that's a slight oversight on my part that in the apps I didn't have like 8 wings of probably like Korean barbecue. The Korean barbecue I really like, the spicy Korean barbecue.
What do you think the best wings in the world are?
Wingstop.
Wingstop?
I love Wingstop.
I'm a big Pluckers guy.
Pluckers.
That's a Texas thing.
Originally an Austin establishment. They have interesting boneless wings. They're more like chicken strips than they are wings.
They are.
But that's my fast food masters
Great
only
list.
club dinner. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Epic list. I love it. I would love to combine our meals and see who has a bigger stomach ache.
Both.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think mine was pretty random as well, but
I don't think you last past once you hit the soup on my list, like you're feeling real
you
bad.
might be eating the rest of your meal on the toilet.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Quickly, I want to, before we go to break, discuss something that Tyreek Hill said. He basically
He's been
came out-
super active on social lately.
Yeah, I mean, athletes should be. You know, they gotta maximize their brand. He said that after the 2025 season, when his contract is up with the Dolphins, he's gonna call it quits. So he's giving
because
himself 3 more seasons.
he has business ventures that he wants. Like he gave a reason. It wasn't, and I imagine part of it is the health aspect as well. Like he's a small guy.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you know,
He's 29 years old, though. You know, I mean, he's by the time he retires, he'll be 32. So, or he'll be 33, I think.
right.
He'll be 32, but like he'll be turning 33 soon.
Early 30s. He's not trying to Larry Fitzgerald this thing, and I kind of respect it because I think he knows
He's won a ring.
He knows his skill set.
He's won a ring.
He knows. I bet that the speed eventually will go to a certain capacity, and because he's a relatively small guy, I mean he's thick, like he's certainly very strong. You know, I just wouldn't want to risk anything like physically, health wise. He hasn't had to deal with any major injuries in his career.
Right.
Like you said, he's
So
won a
keep it
ring.
that
He's
way.
a 7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All Pro. I think year in, year out, at least for the last 5 years, he's been considered a top 5 receiver in football, if not a top 3 and sometimes even the best receiver in football. He's beloved by a lot of sports fans, certainly by fantasy football fans out there.
Another Oklahoma State guy.
Yeah,
talking about. He also said
no. He went to West Alabama.
Yeah, we started Oklahoma State.
Did he?
Yeah,
he transferred.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He also was signing a jersey, and I think a Browns fan was there or something. He's like, man, that's why I wanted to sign me, but they wouldn't meet my number. So he wanted to play with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland.
Got it. Yeah. I also saw another video of Cam Newton saying that there are only a certain amount of QBs that he would back up in the NFL, and the first one he named was Deshaun Watson.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty interesting. But yeah, I'd love to see Tyreek Hill play as long as possible, but you got to give these guys, what they deserve and what they want. I mean, they're putting their bodies on the line each and every week. We're the charity stripe. We will be right back. Nicky, Snax, Kreider, Alexander Tassopoulos, the Mightier 1090. We'll see you in a hot second. We're back, baby. It's the charity stripe on the Mightier 1090 or on Believe Live, wherever you want to catch us. Nick Kreider, Alex Tassopoulos. We're here. We're talking Masters. We're talking football. Let's talk some baseball as well. So my guy, Fernando Tatis Jr., making his rehab, suspension assignment debut in El Paso, and then goes to Sacramento to play with the Chihuahuas in a minor league game in AAA. Hits a home run, mammoth shot. Hits a tank off a AAA pitcher named Cade McClure, right? Rounds the bases, gets booed by the fans. There's a tweet by Darnay Tripp from yesterday. It says, Cade McClure will be telling people for years about the time he gave up an absolute nuke to Fernando Tatis Jr. Clayton McClure subtweets it and goes, **, cheater hits a home run on a rehab assignment during a steroid suspension. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's obviously top tier petty for sure. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers petty.
Yeah.
But I also as you were saying this, and I had in my mind, and I'm not quite as plugged into baseball as you and Josh are. I'm really trying this year, and it's been really awesome. I think the game has been great thus far.
Play more MLB The Show
in the first
helps,
week.
right?
That does help a lot. When you were talking about the fact that he is rehabbing and was playing in the minors, the first thought that came to my head is, should he be allowed to do that?
So I was really surprised as well.
I don't think that seems fair.
And I was surprised. So me, my co-host for the Padres show, Ring the Bell, a Pods Pod, check it out if you didn't know. I host the show with Heath Bell and Borna Nazari, a.k.a. Hogwatch. But me and Borna were saying that we were both surprised that he was allowed to play in AAA during his suspension. Now, I understand both sides. One side is you're suspended 80 games. That means you shouldn't be able to play at all. But the other side is you can't just go back to going to the major leagues as soon as your suspension is over. You know what I mean? And look, MLB wants people to watch their games, so they want to see Tatis.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of on him? He's the one that made those decisions. He has to rehab properly himself. The MLB doesn't care about that.
AAA though is the
MILB, right?
So it's an MLB suspension. So I know it's an affiliate, but
it's an affiliate. I mean, that's the minors turn into the majors.
Selfishly, I'm okay with it.
Of course, as a Padres fan, that makes a lot of sense. From an objective standpoint, to me, the fact that he is playing professional baseball, they're both professional baseball.
Yeah.
Because is he not getting paid by the minor leagues?
Well, no, his suspension is not without pay. He's getting paid. He's still getting his contract. He's guaranteed. He's getting the Padres contract. I just don't know what the difference would be if you were to go over to the Dominican Republic and play in a spring league.
Look, I don't want.
I'd rather him be in El Paso.
And it's not. I'm not rooting for him to get re-injured or anything like that. Of course not. I'm just saying. I think that it seems
a little strange.
It seems a bit strange.
Okay.
I would expect that he wouldn't be able to play professional baseball within the MLB system, which includes the MILB, at all.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not for...
It doesn't really matter ultimately because he's not playing for the Pods right now.
Correct. He's not. And at the end of the day, look, this is all self-inflicted.
How many more games does he have?
April 20th is his debut.
Okay.
So I don't know how many games that equates to, but it's not far off.
Got it.
About 14 days away. So for me, though, pitcher who gives up an absolute nuke, quote unquote, by the guy who made the tweet. I mean, that's just someone who is pissed off that he let up a massive home run against Tatis.
Yeah, I mean, he probably doesn't want to be facing Fernando Tatis. He wants to be making himself look as good as possible so he can get to the majors, to get to the bigs. And it's a lot harder when you're pitching against one of the top tier bats in the MLB.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a guy who literally has never made his professional debut.
That's what I'm saying. Like
he's 27 years old, still hasn't got to the majors. Like, we'll see if he does, but it's not a good look. You know, it's kind of like, oh, you hit a home run off me, but it didn't count because you're a big bad bully.
Yeah, but I get the sentiment too, because if I were one of those hitters,
Twitter, because you know what, dude, like,
but now more people know who he is than he used to be. You could look at it that way.
People are dragging him.
Yeah, rightly so, because it's a competitive game. Like, one guy's going to look better, one guy's going to look worse, and you hate to be on the opposite side. And when you say something about being on the opposite side and you make excuses for it, sports fans don't like that very much. Right. I'm just thinking about it. Like, imagine being one of the batters when the Mets were kind of bringing Jacob deGrom back into full health, right, and you had to go step up, and you're like, okay, I've been hitting really, really hot right now.
I'd relish in that opportunity.
Yeah. But you could also see it you would relish in it. That's a great way to look at it. But also, it's DeGrom, and he's pretty much untouchable. And so, good luck. You think you can hit him? You're not going to.
So for me,
there's the reality of the situation.
Me as a AAA hitter or wherever you are playing, you know, if you are having a good season, right, you're hot like you're saying, give yourself a challenge. Say, okay, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to prove to the organization that I can touch one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
and if I can make it happen, they're gonna turn their head and they can say, "Oh my God, maybe we should give this guy a chance."
No, I'm just saying. And guess what? They can't, because they're not there yet. Because if they were, they'd be in the bigs.
No, I understand.
And half the guys in the bigs can't even touch him. He had 11 strikeouts last night.
I will say that when DeGrom did make his rehab assignment last year for the Mets, someone took him very, very deep. A minor league player.
A minor leaguer?
He
also had a few games though where he was absolutely dominant.
No, for sure. 100%, as he should. But I'm just saying, like, someone did. And it's a story that you tell your kids forever.
For sure.
And you never even make the Major League Baseball.
That's like, yeah, if you never make it to the MLB.
It's kind of like the tweet the guy said. He goes, he's going to tell his grandkids this story forever, that Tatis hit a nuke off him. And I think, honestly, that probably ignited him a little bit to be like, screw you, dude. Like, I'm not going to tell my it's not a story that I want to, like, tell people.
Well, especially right now, because he's a young pitcher, right? Like, he still has a lot of career left where he could
sliding his career a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Because if he gets to the league and he plays for 7 years,
right. But like in the tweets, like, eyes, it's like that's all he'll ever be is the guy who gave up a massive home run to Tatis while he was serving a suspension.
Yeah, I did. And
honestly, he's making himself more of that guy just by putting out that tweet. Like, now, that's even more what he'll ever be. No one, I was gonna see that home run and be like, oh, cool. Anyway. On to the next thing. But now we're talking about it. People are talking about it.
Yeah.
He's a guy who's known for that.
Well, there was also another, just speaking of more like petty baseball beef, and this one's like more fun and not actually a serious deal.
Sure.
And neither really is that one, the DeGrom situation or the Fernando Tatis. But Garrett Mitchell for the Brew Crew hit a walk-off pinch hit home run
Love that.
against the Mets, and they swept the Mets in the series, which I think both of us were. Did we both pick the under on the Mets this season with their wins?
No, I think I picked the over, but I think they're taking a slight step back.
Yeah, I mean, the Diaz injury just really, really hurts them a lot.
It
but
does.
Mitchell in the post game was like, when my wife doesn't show up to the games, usually something good happens.
Yeah.
Which I thought is hilarious. And his wife is a professional, she's a former college softball star, and she plays on I think what is a college softball, like a professional women's team. She played at Oregon, but she clapped back and was like, "You won't say it to my face, though," over social media, which I thought was kind of funny, that they were just going back and forth. But baseball, like I said, has been awesome thus far. And
a lot of cool storylines.
Yep.
Obviously the ones that were obvious that we knew were going to be big storylines: Trout, Ohtani, Judge, Xander Bogaerts, our guy in San Diego, off to a hot start, already with 3 home runs in 6 games to start the season. He had 15 home runs last season.
He's playing really, really well. And that just goes to show how good of a player he is, one. And two, when you have guys like Machado in the lineup and Soto.
And when you get Tatis back.
How much pressure that takes away from Xander Bogaerts.
They're all going to flourish. I think it's a case where the more talent you have in a roster, look, this has been something that everyone knows for years. When you build a roster, there's protection all around. So you're going to get better pitches to hit because guys want to get outs. They want to get out of innings quickly. So
and Soto and Machado, also guys that when they aren't hitting it out of the ballpark, get on base a lot too.
Exactly. Right. Having home runs when guys are on base, taking advantage of that, it's huge. Now, going back to Xander really quickly, look, 15 home runs last year with the Red Sox. Playing in Fenway, the Green Monster, right? He's a contact hitter. He's a guy that hits line drives.
This is a guy that hit 33 home runs in 2019.
He did. I'm just saying that with the opportunity to play in a ballpark that doesn't have the Green Monster for 81 of your games, where it's a pretty short fence. It's about 340, dead pull to left field.
Yeah.
If he just swings it out there and hits his line drive that would normally pepper the Green Monster, it's going out. So, all three of his home runs have been at home so far because they've played 6 home games, but now they go on the road to Atlanta, and then they're going the Mets after this. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can keep it up. I definitely know that he's this great hitter. He's, in terms of shortstops over the last, how many years, he's ranked number 1 in most all hitting categories, besides home runs. And he wasn't the guy heading into the season that everyone was going to keep their eye. Of course, we're keeping our eye on him because he's new to the team and he's Xander Bogaerts, of course. But Manny Machado and Soto and Tatis are the guys that are getting the MVP love. Soto is the odds-on favorite right now, or to start the season at least, as the MVP from all sports books, especially at BetOnline.ag. Manny Machado, top 3 MVP candidate for the past 3 seasons, 2 seasons, and then I think he had a top 5 season before that. So these are all guys that...
And I think some of it has to do with when Xander was on the Sox, the majority of the talk was around Devers, right? And before that, it was JD Martinez.
Mookie Betts.
Yeah. And he has been, like I said, he hit 33 home runs in 2019. The team around him was also a lot better.
They won the World Series that year, right?
That they did. So that's a perfect example of how he can really take this opportunity that he has now in this stacked Padres lineup, especially once Tatis comes back, like you're saying, and really continue to take advantage like he already has with this hot start. Just a couple of other teams that I'm looking at. Look, it's early. It's such early days, right? It's 6 and 7 games most of these teams have played, but the Angels are 4-2, and I'm interested to see what they can do this season. Mariners and the Astros, those I think for the most part are the teams in the AL West that have been given the most love coming into the season.
The Rangers are good too,
and the Rangers are also 4-2. So the Rangers and the Angels, they're leading. They're tied for the lead of the AL West, and I just think that it's 2 good teams. I trust Bochy a lot more than the Angels manager, but maybe the Angels can put something together and silence some of the critics out there.
Yeah. Bochy, I saw him on TV the other day, and I totally forgot that you guys brought him in as your manager. It's such a game changer.
Yeah.
He won 3 World Series with the Giants, had a great career as a Padres manager as well. He's a legend.
Yeah.
So it meant a lot for him to come out of retirement to say, hey, I want to coach this Rangers team that has a very high-powered offense.
Very high-powered.
Now has DeGrom on there, is their ace in their rotation.
Right.
So look, I'm excited for your division, honestly. I think it's a really competitive one, and it's going to be an exciting race.
And the Astros without Verlander, just to see what that looks like.
Without Altuve for the first 2 months too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The Rays are the only undefeated team left in the major leagues right now. The Phillies are at the bottom of the NL East. The Brewers are at the top of the NL Central at 5-1, and the Cards are at the bottom. So there's so much already that's happening that's really, really exciting. Tons of exciting storylines, of course. The Guardians, I really think that's a good team.
Yeah, it is a good team. They're playing good ball. Your point to the Rays really quickly. Tampa Bay has won all 6 of their games this season by 4 or more runs. That has never been done since 1884. They're
Wow.
the only unbeaten team to start the season to win by 4 or more runs.
Yeah, I
Pretty
mean,
insane.
I think important to note, and again, like this is why the context matters. Opening series against the Tigers, second series against the Nats. So not like we think that either of those two teams are going to be real contenders or even close to being in contention, even wild card contenders. And they have not given up more than 6 runs in a game. So pitching matters a lot, and the Rays have always had a good pitching staff and always a pretty deep bullpen.
In the last 10 seasons, the longest season opening win streak has been 7.
Okay.
Orioles in 2016, Royals in 2015. So 7.
Got it. Well,
so if they hit one more, they tie.
Well, it's a good thing that their next series is against the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, it is. I'd imagine that they might have some success there.
Yeah.
What a train wreck, the Athletics. They just need to move the team to Vegas at this point. I don't know what's holding them back.
Man, I've popped a couple of their games on.
It's a tough watch.
Not even to like watch the entire game, but just to watch a couple of innings here or there. Sparse in the stands, man. There's barely anyone out there.
I know. It's ridiculous. Honestly, this is something that I was thinking about a couple months ago when we were talking about Kyler Murray. They have his rights. They took him in the first round a couple years ago in the MLB draft in the first round. They technically, if Kyler Murray wanted to hang it up in football, which like things are shaky.
I think he's kind of past that now, isn't he? With the ACL though, that's huge.
There's a couple of factors here. One, I don't think many people like Kyler Murray in the NFL. I don't think his teammates like him that much. I don't think his head's in the game. I don't think he likes studying a playbook. I think he likes being his own boss. I don't think he likes taking orders from people. Baseball is a much more individual sport. If he wants to be that type of person, he wants to be that type of athlete, he can go transition to baseball. He was a guy who was always considered to be better at baseball than football his entire career growing up in high school in Texas. And then when he got to college, ended up transferring from Texas A&M to OU.
Right.
So he can play both baseball and football. So obviously football is his biggest love and his passion, super talented. Number one overall draft pick. However, things aren't working out. So if he decides he wants to hit the reset button, that can get you some seats filled.
For sure. It definitely could. If I'm Kyler Murray and I'm looking at my own personal situation, I would sooner try and push my way out of being in Arizona.
Yeah.
Because Josh Rosen didn't work out there, right? Kingsbury didn't work out there. Like this has kind of been for the last 3 or 4 years. It's been bad. It's been really, really bad. And I think if I'm as talented as Kyler Murray and I believe in my talent, like I'd like to at least have a shot somewhere else to see how well I can fare before I step to the bigs.
Look, I think also it's a situation where I don't necessarily think he can step away for years and come back to football. But, I think he's talented enough where if he wants to give it a shot for a couple years in MLB and then come back to the NFL, someone would give him an opportunity.
You think?
I think so. He's young.
The mobility the mobility aspect is so important for both sides of it, right? Because he's an outfielder.
Yeah.
And he's a mobile quarterback. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't have the mobility as a quarterback and he goes and plays 2 or 3 years of baseball, he comes back, he's not quite as fast, he's still the same size.
Lost a step.
That's a tough sell in my mind.
I'd even go to say that he might get even smaller when he goes to Major League Baseball.
Slimmer.
Not going to be lifting as much, not going to be bulking up as much to take the NFL hits.
Yeah.
So you never know, but I'd be interested to see. I doubt that's ever going to happen. I think it's it's a pretty outrageous.
No, but it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, it's fun. Come on, hypotheticals are fun to talk about, especially when it's about the Oakland Athletics and how they can figure out ways to get booties and seats.
Booties and seats. That's what it's all about.
Seats, but at the end of the day, they should just move the whole entire franchise to Vegas and call it a day. Go ahead and make some money.
Hey, nobody's averse to making some money. Speaking of making some money, I did want to throw
me some money.
Yeah, I actually I just wanted to give you a couple bucks, man.
It's very kind of you.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of money, sending money one way or another, big deals. I, for whatever reason, didn't get to watch Succession until last night.
Mm-hmm.
I thought episode 2 was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
I wasn't like
Greg.
in the first episode. I wasn't disappointed, but I didn't think it had the same juice as some of the episodes in season 1, 2, and 3. And episode 2 really delivered for me.
We always see with HBO, sometimes whether you think an episode is flat or not, it's a really it sets up other episodes. Like,
right.
It lays the groundwork, especially like in the first couple of episodes of the season where, this is the last and final season of Succession.
Right.
They've already called it quits after this, so they're done filming. Season 4 will be the last. It's a good little groundwork. But I'm with you. I think it was really exciting. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but
No, everybody should go watch that.
I think it's awesome that like Greg and Tom.
This doesn't spoil anything. Greg had to give someone bad news in a business setting.
Yeah.
And we had not seen him basically fire someone.
So funny.
And it was
It
awesome.
was so awkward and funny.
Yeah.
And they refer to Logan as Logue.
Logue, boss man.
Boss man Logue.
Just a hilarious number of one-liners in this show, and the writer's room just deserves a bunch of credit.
We got about 45 seconds left, but I do want to ask, because we talked about it on our Amazon Amp show. If you haven't checked us out on Amazon App, go download the app. We go live three times a week. Do you ever think that Greg will be able to break out of the Greg mold as an actor and other roles?
We had some good comments from the Peanut Gallery when we were on that live show on Amp, and I agree with their sentiment that I think he can do it, but it's going to take some time. I think we'll need to forget about Greg a little bit.
Yeah.
Before he can become someone else.
I'm with you. I think he should capitalize on the character for a couple more movies and then rebrand yourself. But we're the Charity Stripe, Mightier 1090. We'll see you next time. And we're back because we're also live daily. And we are in the time constraints that we are for our radio show. So welcome back to our fans on Believe Live. Continuing with this Succession talk really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Out of all of the actors on the show, who do you think goes on to have the most prolific career?
Well, I'm gonna move Brian Cox off to the side because
already seasoned.
He's already had a prolific career.
Yes.
He's towards the end of his career. He absolutely ate that monologue up, though, that was in episode 2. He was incredible in it. I would probably say, I think of all these, the Roy siblings.
Kendall?
No, I actually think that Kieran Culkin will be the lead of his own show somewhat soon.
I could definitely see that.
I think he's such a dynamic actor, and he's so interesting as a person. He's so quirky.
Yeah.
He's somewhat similar to Roman, although a little scaled back and a little more sensible, I would imagine, in real life, at least from interviews.
Same, facial expressions and the same mannerisms, and
he's just hard to predict. And I think if he were given the right character, I don't know if it's like a
Shameless role or something. If he's the lead
that
of Shameless.
That could be cool. Maybe almost if there's a Mayor of Easttown type of detective story, and he's a kind of an off the beaten path detective that a precinct brings in because he's just that weird.
I'm with you. Look, at the end of the day, we know that HBO loves to recycle actors.
For sure.
They love that.
Yeah.
So I would not be shocked if Kieran gets an opportunity to be the lead in his own HBO show. And look, you can argue that in this ensemble cast that Succession is, there is no true lead. So they all kind of share the spotlight. And obviously certain seasons have more screen time for certain actors. In season 1, Kendall was probably the centerpiece, but it shifted a lot. I think Tom gets a ton of screen time now. Yeah. Obviously Logan. They all share the screen a lot. Besides
even
Colin's character.
Even us just talking about besides Colin, even us just talking about how this might have been the first time where it's been Greg and another supporting character where Greg was the main character in that scene, right? He had to fire Carrie, and I don't know if we've had a moment that for him yet.
He's flirted with Comfrey a couple of times.
Yeah, but those were quick. They really they gave him 3 to 4 minutes.
Or
with,
like the scenes with his grandpa.
but that guy is a massively known actor.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily count that. And at the time, he was really important to the story.
He was.
I would say, but if you look at just the movies that have already come out, Jeremy Strong, as far as films that have come out, he's been the biggest properties of anyone outside of Brian Cox. He was in the Trial of the Chicago 7 movie.
Right.
He was in
Kendall Roy.
That's right. Jeremy Strong, Kendall Roy. Yeah. He was in The Big Short. He was in that movie with Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall, the judge. So, and he was in Molly's Game. There's been this transition, right? Where a lot of times now actors become more famous from limited series or TV shows than they might from these big blockbuster movies.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, I think that's...
Unless the movie is a Marvel property, right, or it's a DC or it's whatever.
Well, we've known that's kind of been the trend with just how streamers work now with Netflix and HBO Max and Hulu and Amazon Prime and Apple. There's always so many different streaming platforms that just crank out shows and content. Yeah. So, for a show like Ozark, where it's kind of like one big movie.
Yeah.
Same thing with Succession. A lot of these follow the film and cinema style, but are broken up into 10 parts.
For sure.
Up into 40 parts. So, Game of Thrones, one big movie.
Who's your pick for...
I like the Kieran Culkin pick a lot.
Yeah.
I would say after that, maybe Tom. McFadyen. I think he's super talented. My favorite character on the show, honestly, probably my favorite actor in the show as well. Love to see him get a more leading man role.
Yeah.
As we go on, maybe an action role. That'd be cool.
What about some of the side characters, any of them that you think can kind of turn this into a bigger career?
I've seen Jerry and stuff before.
Stewie has also been in a decent amount of stuff.
Yeah, he's good. I've seen Jerry before.
Skarsgård doesn't really count because he's already there.
He's already Tarzan.
I wonder if we'll get a...
Adrian Brody's in.
Yeah, I was about to say. I wonder if we'll get Adrian Brody back in this season.
We've got to. He's amazing. I love everything that he does.
Yeah.
Anytime he makes an appearance somewhere, he's very captivating.
Yeah, he is.
Cool. He was great in Boardwalk Empire too. Sorry, not Peaky Blinders.
He was great in Peaky Blinders as the American
who was great in Boardwalk Empire?
Steve Buscemi.
Steve
Buscemi's great in everything. He is definitely great in Mr. Deeds. That's what I was thinking of.
He gave a speech at the Mark Twain Award that was presented to the Sandman, Adam Sandler.
Because they've been in a couple things together.
Oh, they've been in a lot together.
Yeah.
But we already gave our Adam Sandler top 5 movies. Go check it out on TikTok or Instagram, wherever you get your content for the Charity Stripe. We will be back tomorrow on April 7th. We love you. We out you.